The executive suite on floor 38 had its own smell. Cold air mixed with furniture, wax, and something else, pure desperation hiding behind expensive cologne. 17 years I'd been climbing these halls. 17 years mastering the invisible rules of Fletcher and Morgan. My title? Director of Elite Partnerships. Sounds boring, right? Wrong. In this world, I was the woman who made billion-dollar handshakes happen. I didn't need to raise my voice. My influence lived in the quiet moments, the subtle head tilt during negotiations, the carefully timed pause before a signature, the $2.8 billion acquisition I'd been nursing for 11 months. That was my masterpiece. Standing at the glass wall, tablet in hand, going over final terms, that's when the door exploded open. Riley burst in like a tornado in designer heels. 23 years old, brand new MBA her daddy definitely bought, and wearing this expression like she owned the entire planet and everyone else was just renting space. First day on the job. Literally her first 60 minutes. Hey! Her voice sliced through the office buzz like a blade. She wasn't admiring the view. She was staring straight at my chest. I lowered my tablet slowly, turning with the practiced calm I reserved for unstable investors. Can I help you, Riley? I'm Sophia. We were scheduled to. I know exactly who you are, she cut me off, waving dismissively. In her hand was this ancient employee manual, the kind nobody's cracked open since flip phones died. And I know what you're breaking. Breaking? I kept my tone level. I'm finalizing the Whitmore acquisition protocols. No, she moved closer, reeking of lavender perfume and insecurity. You're breaking Section 7, Clause D. Professional appearance standards for client interactions. I blinked. I was wearing a tailored Versace jacket, slate blue with silver clasps, matched with pressed trousers, and a designer bag that cost more than most people's monthly rent. This was war armor for someone who closed deals worth billions. The silver clasps, she announced, tapping that ridiculous manual with a fake nail. Policy explicitly requires uniform fasteners only. She pointed at my bag. And that looks worn. We don't represent worn here. We represent perfection. The entire floor went dead silent. People at their desks stopped mid-keystroke. Interns froze with coffee cups halfway to their mouths. Let me tell you, this is where I usually mention that if you're into watching entitled people get exactly what's coming to them, you should hit that subscribe button, because what happens next is absolutely devastating. But in that moment, nobody moved. Riley, I said, my voice dropping low and dangerously calm. I'm meeting with Jonathan Whitmore in 48 hours to close a $2.8 billion deal. This jacket isn't your concern. Your concern should be that you're interrupting critical preparation. Her face went crimson, clashing badly with her scarf. She wasn't used to pushback. She was used to Daddy's platinum card and terrified assistance. I'm the executive VP's senior liaison. She declared a title I knew was completely invented for her pay grade. I enforce company standards. If you can't handle basic guidelines, how can we trust you with our future? It was so ridiculous I almost laughed, but I saw that gleam in her eyes. She didn't care about clasps. She wanted blood. She wanted to prove on day one that she was the apex predator. She'd picked me because I looked established. Taking down the queen bee is the fastest way to terrify everyone else. Go home, change, submit a written apology to HR for your violation, she commanded, arms crossed. I looked at her. Really looked. I saw her hands trembling, saw the desperate hunger for validation, saw the complete ignorance of what I actually did here. No, I said simply. Excuse me? No, I have work. I turned back to the window. You're terminated, she shrieked. The words hung there, heavy and absurd. I turned slowly. She was breathing hard, eyes wild. She'd committed. She'd pulled the trigger. You can't be serious. I'm your superior by association and you're insubordinate, she yelled, voice cracking. Clear out your desk. Security will escort you immediately. I looked at the terrified analysts outside the glass. I looked at the $2.8 billion contract on my tablet. Then something strange happened. This icy clarity washed over me. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel devastated. I felt relieved. All right, I said. Riley blinked, clearly expecting a fight. Expecting begging. You're absolutely right, Riley. I said, closing my tablet with a snap. Standards matter. I'll gather my things right now. I didn't wait for her response. I walked past her shoulder, brushing hers, and headed toward my office. She thought she'd just dominated the room. She had no idea she just detonated a bomb that wouldn't go off for 2 days. She'd just fired the only person on Earth who could decode the secret handshake rituals of the Whitmore dynasty. Walking down that hallway, I didn't look back. But I felt her staring, confused by how easy I'd made it, wondering why victory tasted so hollow. My office was controlled chaos incarnate. Unlike the sterile boardroom, my desk was covered with stacked folders, legal pads filled with coded shorthand only I understood, and a worn leather address book, ironically the most valuable item in the building. Riley probably assumed everything was digital. She didn't understand that in high-stakes mergers, real deals happen on private cell numbers scribbled on cocktail napkins and business cards kept in old-school binders. I didn't rush. Rushing signals guilt or panic. I had neither. I opened drawers with the slow precision of someone defusing a bomb. Personal items first. The photo of my mother, who taught me that principles are expensive, but desperation costs everything. The glass award Jonathan Whitmore gave me after we closed the Singapore deal 6 years ago. Then the address book. I dropped it into my worn leather bag. My assistant Monica was hovering in the doorway, pale, twisting tissues into confetti. Sophia, she whispered like speaking louder might summon demons. Is it real? It's real. Monica, I said softly. I picked up the preliminary files for the Whitmore merger, held them, weighed them. These were company copies, technically company property. I placed them back on the desk. Dead center. But the merger, Monica stammered. The meeting is in 2 days. Nobody else knows the leverage calculations. Nobody else knows about the supplementary agreements. I'm sure Riley is extremely capable, I said. The lie tasted sweet like poison. She has an MBA, Monica. She reads policy manuals. I cleared my computer history. Logged out of the secure server. Wiped local files. I wasn't destroying company property. I was simply erasing my personal intellectual fingerprint. If they wanted to navigate this labyrinth, they'd have to use the maps on file, not the shortcuts living in my brain. I put on my coat. Cashmere. Soft and warm against the suddenly frigid office air. I picked up my bag. When I stepped out, the entire floor pretended to work, heads down, eyes darting. The silence was deafening, the silence of a crew watching their captain thrown overboard by a mutineer who couldn't read a compass. Riley waited by the elevators, arms crossed, foot tapping, flanked by 2 uncomfortable security guards who knew me by name. Make sure she didn't steal proprietary information, Riley snapped at them. Frank, head of floor security, looked at me with apologetic eyes. He'd seen me work midnight shifts for a decade, seen me buy pizza for his team every holiday. She's clear, Miss Riley, Frank mumbled without even checking my bag. Riley scoffed. Fine. Just remove her. I want this toxicity gone from my floor. I stopped at the elevator and pressed the button. Waited for the ding. When the doors opened, I turned to Riley. She was bracing for a curse, a threat, you'll regret this. Instead, I smiled. A genuine smile. The kind you give someone who just unknowingly handed you a winning lottery ticket while thinking it's a speeding fine. Thank you, Riley, I said. Her brow furrowed. Confusion cracked her arrogant mask for a split second. What? For clarifying this organization's priorities, I said. It's been enlightening. Best of luck with the merger. The supplementary clauses are complicated. I stepped into the elevator. What's supplementary clauses? She demanded, stepping forward as the doors began closing. The digital file is complete. Digital files are so impersonal, I said softly. The doors shut, cutting off her face just as panic started creeping into her eyes. As the elevator descended, gravity pulled at my stomach, but my spirit soared. I checked my watch. 10:45 a.m. By noon, legal would be asking questions. By 2 p.m., the partners would be confused. By tomorrow morning, the bleeding would start. I walked out into the brilliant sunshine, didn't hail a cab, walked 3 blocks to a quiet cafe, ordered a double espresso, sat by the window. I took out my phone and powered it off. Let them marinate in silence for a while. I spent the afternoon at a museum, stared at impressionist paintings, chaos captured in frames, and felt a deep kinship. Amazing how much you miss in the world when you're carrying the weight of billion-dollar corporations on your shoulders. For the first time in years, I noticed brushstrokes, texture. It wasn't until 6 p.m., back in my apartment pouring wine, that I decided to power my phone back on. The device buzzed like an angry wasp. Didn't stop vibrating for 2 full minutes. Screen lit up with cascading notifications, a digital avalanche of regret. 16 missed calls from the office, 4 from HR, 6 from unknown numbers, 31 new emails. I took a sip of wine, savoring it, and scrolled through texts. Asterisk, asterisk, Monica, 11:45 a.m. Asterisk, 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 Sophia. Legal is asking who authorized your termination. Riley locked herself in her office. Asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, Monica. 1:15 p.m. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The partners from the Tokyo office tried calling you. Riley took it. Didn't go well. She told them you were no longer culturally compatible. There was loud yelling in Japanese. Asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, Monica. 3 p.m. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Where are the supplementary files? Riley is screaming at IT. They say you deleted them. IT says they were never on the server. Sophia. Everyone is panicking. Asterisk. I smiled, swirling wine in the glass. Of course, they weren't on the server. The supplementary files weren't documents. They were nuances. Handshake agreements about retaining key personnel in the acquired company. Verbal promises I'd made to Jonathan Whitmore about preserving his family's legacy branding. They were in handwritten notes currently burning in my fireplace. I opened an email from the General Counsel. Asterisk, asterisk. Subject. Urgent. Employment status clarification. Asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, Sophia. There appears to have been a serious communication breakdown regarding protocol enforcement. Please call immediately. We need to discuss contract reinstatement before the Whitmore meeting. We can resolve this. Riley is inexperienced and perhaps overly zealous. Let's not allow emotions to derail the merger. Asterisk. Emotions? I whispered to my empty apartment. They always called it emotions when a woman reacted, but strategy when a man did. I didn't reply. I could picture the scene perfectly. Sun setting, casting accusatory shadows across the office. Riley exhausted, lavender perfume gone stale, power suit wrinkled. She'd be realizing that Executive VP's senior liaison commanded obedience but not respect. Certainly not knowledge. She had the files. She had the numbers. She could see the valuation, $2.8 billion. But she didn't know times Y asterisk. She didn't know that the fourth clause in Section 8, the one about regulatory complications, was actually coded negotiation about a specific ranch in Wyoming that Jonathan Whitmore's grandmother had owned. It looked like a liability on paper, but it was the emotional core of the deal for the Whitmore family. If she tried renegotiating that to save money, which any MBA student would, she'd insult Jonathan so deeply he'd walk out before shaking hands. I sat on my couch, pulled a blanket over my legs. City lights twinkled outside, indifferent to the panic in the glass tower downtown. Another text arrived, from a number I didn't recognize, but the area code was the private line of our CFO. Asterisk, asterisk, CFO. 7:45 p.m. Asterisk, 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 Sophia. Answer your phone. Name your price. Asterisk. I looked at the message. Name your price. My price wasn't money. My price was dignity. And unfortunately for them, dignity was a currency they'd just devalued to zero. I set the phone face down on the table. I wasn't saving them. Not tonight. Tonight, I was watching a movie. Maybe something about disaster. Maybe something about a woman walking into the sunset while the castle burns behind her. The panic was quiet from here, but I knew by tomorrow morning it would be screaming. There's a specific drawer in my home desk that stays locked. It doesn't hold jewelry or cash. It holds leverage. I walked to the antique writing desk and pulled a small brass key from under a decorative plant. The lock clicked with heavy mechanical satisfaction. Inside, on velvet lining, rested a single leather portfolio. Worn, edges soft, smelling of old paper and pipe tobacco. Embossed on the front in faded gold, asterisk confidential legacy protocol, Whitmore Family Trust, asterisk. Most people thought I was hired by Fletcher and Morgan because of my resume. Truth? I was part of the package. 6 years ago, when Jonathan Whitmore first considered letting outside investment touch his family empire, he had one condition. He wanted someone who understood old money. Not the flashy wealth of tech moguls, but the quiet, guarded wealth that moves in generations, not quarters. My mother had been Jonathan's mother's estate manager. I grew up playing in the library of the Whitmore estate while adults discussed trusts over brandy. I wasn't just an employee, I was the bridge. The translator between the ruthless capitalism of my firm and the ancestral loyalty of the Whitmore family. I opened the portfolio. Inside, a single card with a direct private number, not a business line. The phone Jonathan kept in his jacket pocket. I sat there, tracing the numbers with my finger. Calling this number violated every confidentiality clause in my employment contract. Professional suicide. But then I remembered Riley's face, the way she looked at my jacket like it was contaminated, the smugness as she fired me in front of people I'd mentored. I picked up my phone, dialed. 2 rings. This is Jonathan. Deep voice, gravel, and familiarity. It's Sophia. A pause. A shift. I thought we were in quiet period until Friday's signing. We were, I said steadily. But circumstances have changed. Changed how? The warmth drained, replaced by steel, the voice of a man who owned shipping routes. I've been terminated. The silence was absolute. Lasted so long I thought the call dropped. Terminated, he repeated, like the word was foreign. By whom? Did the board find something? No, I said. By the new executive VP's senior liaison. Dress code violation and cultural misalignment. A dress code violation? Jonathan's voice was flat. Yes. And who's handling transition of the Wyoming assets? Nobody, I said. Riley believes the digital files are sufficient. I heard something between a laugh and a growl. The digital files list the Wyoming property as non-generating liability. Without your addendum, their algorithm will flag it for liquidation within 6 months. Correct. So they fired the only person who knows where the skeletons are buried, and did it 2 days before the biggest merger in their history. That appears to be the situation. Sophia, Jonathan said, voice dropping to conspiratorial whisper, are you free for breakfast tomorrow? Unemployed, Jonathan. I'm free all week. Good. Meet me at the Carlisle, 8 a.m. And Sophia? Yes? Don't sign anything with them. Not severance, not extended NDAs, nothing. Wouldn't dream of it. I hung up. My heart pounded a slow, heavy drum. I'd just crossed the Rubicon. I wasn't just a fired employee anymore. I was an active combatant. I closed the portfolio and locked the drawer. My apartment felt different now. Not a refuge. A war room. Asterisk. Story. Continues with breakfast meeting. Riley's desperate attempts to cover up her mistake. Sophia's triumphant return to the building as Jonathan's new director. The boardroom confrontation. And Riley's public destruction. Asterisk. Asterisk asterisk ending. Asterisk asterisk. The elevator descended for the last time, leaving the wreckage on floor 38. For the first time in 17 years, I didn't check my reflection to see if my clasps were polished. I knew they were perfect. Asterisk asterisk. If you love watching entitled people face consequences, smash that subscribe button. More stories of justice coming soon. Asterisk. Asterisk.